Ladies and gentlemen, car lovers, classic car hunters, and nostalgia addicts, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a time machine straight to the golden age of British motoring as we dive into a full, long, in-depth review of one of the most charming, dependable, and iconic little cars ever built, the 1971 Morris Minor, finished in a beautiful white color that gives it a pure, vintage elegance that stands out even today. This is not just a car, this is a personality on wheels, a rolling slice of history, a machine that didn't just transport people, it transported generations, memories, and an entire era of modest but joyful motoring. So if you're ready to understand why this classic still captures hearts more than 50 years later, then sit back, relax, and let's get rolling. Before we jump into the fine details, let me tell you something important. The Morris Minor was the first British car to sell over 1 million units. That means this little beauty is no niche collectible, it was a superstar of its time. Whether you grew up seeing one parked outside your house, rode in one with your grandparents, or have only admired it from vintage magazines, this 1971 model carries that iconic old-school charisma that refuses to fade. And since this one is in white, it has that clean, timeless look that amplifies its charm even more. Alright, enough teasing, let's get straight into it. Exterior. The 1971 Morris Minor has one of the most instantly recognizable designs in automotive history. Walking up to this white beauty, the first thing that hits you is how compact yet friendly its shape is. Nothing about it feels aggressive or overly engineered. Instead, it gives off this warm, approachable vibe that makes you want to smile before you even start the engine. You've got those signature rounded fenders that bulge out like cheerful cheeks, giving the car a cartoon-like cuteness, but don't let that fool you. This wasn't just about looks. Designers from Morris intended these fenders to improve aerodynamics and visibility. The white paint on this model accentuates those curves wonderfully, reflecting light cleanly along its smooth surfaces. The chrome accents are another highlight. The front bumper, polished grille, and headlight surrounds shine like simple jewelry, not flashy, not loud, just elegant. It's the kind of chrome that speaks of craftsmanship, not showmanship. And the classic round headlamps give the car its iconic face, almost like it's smiling at you with a friendly British grin. Moving along the side, the proportions are small but perfectly balanced. You'll notice the subtle shoulder line that runs across the doors, and the slim chrome trim adds just enough detail to break the monotony of the panel. The steel wheels with chrome hubcaps complete the vintage look, and in white color, the whole car radiates a sense of purity and authenticity. At the rear, you get that distinct split rear window on earlier models, but by 1971 Morris had already updated the Minor to the one-piece rear window, much more practical. The small, tidy taillights, minimalist bumper, and gently sloping boot make the back look almost toy-like in size but surprisingly classy in execution. There's nothing excessive here, just a clean, honest design that aged gracefully. Overall, the exterior is all about charm, simplicity, and approachability. In white, it becomes even more photogenic, crisp, and timeless. This is the kind of car that turns heads not because it's loud, but because it whispers nostalgia. Interior. Step inside the 1971 Morris Minor and you're greeted by a wonderfully simple and old-fashioned driving environment. No giant touchscreens, no complicated menus, no digital distractions, just pure mechanical honesty. The interior layout is straightforward, practical, and surprisingly comfortable for a small classic. The white exterior contrasts nicely with the darker interior tones, typically black or deep brown vinyl seats that are cushioned like a vintage sofa. Sure, they're not bolstered like a modern sports seat, but they offer a charmingly soft, comforting ride that makes every journey feel more relaxed. The thin steering wheel with its two-spoke metal design looks delicate, but it provides direct feedback from the front wheels, reminding you that you're actually connected to the road. The dashboard is an absolute treasure. Right in the center, you get that classic single-dial cluster, speedometer, fuel gauge, and a few simple indicators. It's minimalistic, yet it tells you everything you need. The metal dashboard panel feels robust, old school, and full of personality. There's something profoundly satisfying about the click of those toggle switches, each one feeling physically purposeful. Legroom is surprisingly decent in the front considering the car's size, and visibility is excellent thanks to those large windows and thin pillars. The simplicity of the cabin also gives it an airy feel. The rear seats are compact but usable, especially for short trips or kids. Plus, the boot space is modest but still practical for groceries or a couple of small suitcases. The Morris Minor interior is not trying to impress with luxury, it's trying to welcome you with warmth. Every knob, every hinge, every pedal has that tactile, mechanical charm that modern cars lack. It's a reminder of a time when driving was a hands-on experience, not a software interface. Performance. Alright, let's talk performance, because even though the Morris Minor was never built to be a sports car, it has its own kind of magic. Under the bonnet of the 1971 model, you'll find the A-Series engine, small, modest, but incredibly reliable. Typically, this model features a 1098 cubic centimeters engine producing around 48 horsepower. Now, I know what you're thinking, 48 horsepower. That's less than some motorcycles today. But what the Morris Minor lacks in power, it makes up in character. This car is light, responsive, and designed for simplicity. It accelerates smoothly, and while it won't pin you to your seat, it gets up to city speeds comfortably and cruises at around 50 to 55 miles per hour without complaining. The 4-speed manual gearbox has that old-school notchy feel but shifts confidently once you get used to its charm. Handling is one of the Morris Minor's secret strengths. Thanks to its lightweight construction and independent front suspension, it feels nimble in corners and incredibly easy to maneuver. Around tight streets, narrow lanes, and classic town centers, this thing performs like a champ. The steering is beautifully direct, no power steering here, but because the car is so light, it feels natural and engaging. Braking is basic, front discs weren't standard on all models, so many still run drum brakes all around. But for the speeds this car is built for, it's more than adequate. The ride quality is surprisingly comfortable, absorbing bumps with that classic soft suspension feel. This isn't a fast car. It's not meant to thrill with speed. Instead, it offers the experience of pure, uncomplicated driving. The sound of the engine, the feel of the gears, the mechanical feedback, it's all part of the Morris Minor charm. It's a car you drive for the joy of driving, not for performance bragging rights. Prices. Now let's talk money, because the 1971 Morris Minor exists in a fascinating place in today's market. Unlike some classics that cost a fortune, the Minor is still very accessible. Prices vary greatly depending on condition, originality, and restoration quality. A project car needing work can start from the lower end of the price spectrum, something you can rescue, restore, and make your own. Meanwhile, a fully restored, beautiful white example like the one we're talking about can climb significantly higher, especially if it's been maintained with care, originality, and attention to detail. What makes the Morris Minor special in the collector world is that it's both affordable and meaningful. It's a classic car that many people can still access without breaking the bank. And because it has such a massive enthusiast community, parts and support are widely available. Maintaining one isn't just doable, it's relatively easy compared to many classics. These cars appreciate steadily over time, not because they're rare exotic machines, but because they embody a nostalgic, simple joy that people continue to value. Owning one isn't just a financial decision, it's an emotional investment in a piece of automotive history. And that brings us to the end of our long review of the 1971 Morris Minor in classic white. This car represents an era when driving was simple, honest, and full of charm. It's not about power, technology, or luxury, it's about personality, presence, and the warmth of old-school motoring. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Britain's most beloved classics, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more long classic car reviews, and tell me in the comments, would you drive a Morris Minor today? Or maybe you already own one, share your story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.